Azure Striker Gunvolt 2 is an example of a sequel that is just plain more. More playable characters, more power-ups, more story, more running and gunning, more problems, more wait. What was that last part? Originally released in 2016 by Inti Creates for the Nintendo 3DS, and getting later ports to the PC, Switch, PS4, and even eventually the Xbox consoles, Azure Striker Gunvolt continues its reign as the spiritual successor to the Mega Man X and Zero games. I mean, come on, just look at these two next to each other. Try and tell me that they don't look like they take place in the same universe. Which of course isn't surprising, as Inti Creates is made up of a lot of former Capcom employees who worked on a handful of the Zero titles. So I mean, who better to do so? Alright, any former Konami employees looking to get away from the slots? For those returning after the Azure Striker's first outing, you'll find yourself right at home as the story picks up only a short while after the first game's, somber ending. No spoilers here though. Newcomers probably won't have too much trouble catching up, but I do recommend playing the first Gunvolt if you're as much into the story as the gameplay. Though of course people who are just here for the action will be just fine. So we join our hero Gunvolt, still out there basically saving humanity from the threat of capitalism. Or you know, an evil corporation. Or I guess just a corporation. Abusing the power of the adepts. Superpowered humans who this time around decided, you know, it's our turn to be evil, as they try to purge all the normies from the world and create an ideal adept society. Yeah, the story is basically just X-Men and the villains are Magneto's Brotherhood, but with a few twists. And just like the previous game, it is our job to take these mavericks, adepts, down at the end of their theme stages, like a zombie-infested mansion for the anemic, a dank sewer for the deep, and my personal favorite, virtual reality for this late Haxor nerd. Though it does seem like there's a few fewer stages this time around. Wonder why. Still, they all look great, with excellent sprite work that looks like it's ripped straight out of Mega Man X, really capturing the strengths and feel of the 16-bit era. I just love these designs. It's just an absolute shame that with how good this game looks and feels, they didn't take advantage of their golden opportunity. The conversion from the DS screen to the big screen! So, to be upfront, I haven't played this on the 3DS, and at this point, I'm pretty sure most gamers are going to be playing this on the big screen. Or the Switch. No, come on, not again! As this is where the game is most prevalent, and while most of the gameplay remains unscathed in the ports, including a really unique carryover that we are absolutely going to talk about at the end, the game's biggest problems also carry over, putting a major hurting on the combat, as well as certain elements of the story. So let's dive into the action so we can see firsthand why it's such a big deal. So for returning Gunvolt vets, GV himself plays pretty much exactly the same as before, rocking mostly the same powers, same weapons, same mechanics, and absolutely the same tight controls that makes for excellent platforming and shooting action. If you die, it's probably your fault. And while newcomers to the genre may see Gunvolt as a mere carbon copy of X or Zero, that is far from the case, as he brings his own unique spin to the genre, all revolving around balancing offense, defense, and his power meter. Whenever Gunvolt unleashes his electrifying power, a meter will appear below him. When that meter runs dry due to overuse or getting soaked, remember that for late game, he'll basically be defenseless for a few seconds. However, as long as that meter doesn't hit zero and you're on the ground, you can manually recharge it, and fast. So keeping an eye on this gauge is vital. When not on the attack, thanks to his pervasion ability, anything that hits GV will chunk his power, not his health, which is super useful for cheesing your way through attacks and obstacles. Rock only wishes he could phase through spikes. Though, if you got those pro gamer skills, you'll probably be using more power while on the attack, which is obviously zapping foes with lightning. But GV can't really aim that lightning at will. He has to use a gun, or very upgraded versions of such, to tag foes first. Either tagging up to 3 baddies at once, or tagging up to 1 foe 3 times for maximum damage. And then just laying it on thick. With a nice little bonus being that his flash field will protect him from projectiles. But that's not all GV has up his sleeve. Down in the bottom left corner, you'll notice 3 little charges that refill from standard attacking. Fill them up and you gain access to his special attacks, as shown in the upper right hand corner. giant devastating attacks, a useful heal, and even a few hidden abilities that don't actually use energy, though they all still have a cooldown. Truth be told, while there are a few new power-ups, Gunvolt's side of things really could have just as easily been DLC for the original game, just bringing in new stages and bosses. Where the major change occurs is with the new playable character. Stepping up from his role of rival and minor antagonist from the first game, Copen, man, I hope I'm saying that name right, makes up the other half of the game, getting his own version of the story and a unique set of robot masters, adepts to fight. But unlike Gunvolt, Copen isn't an adept himself. He doesn't have any powers, except for the greatest power of all. Yeah, he's basically the Batman or Iron Man of this universe, using his advanced tech to fight on even terms with super powered beings. And for the most part, he controls pretty similarly to Gunvolt, even going as far as to copy GV's Pervasion ability and his Flash Field, but still playing differently enough to keep things fresh. For example, Copen's bullets don't tag enemies, they kill them, because they're bullets. What'd you expect? Man, Harry wanted to teach me how to dance. It's not like the cartoons. With Copen, he has the dash ability, and when he slams into a foe, that's when he tags them, allowing his bullets to auto-track, which is pretty awesome. Plus, he can even use Pervasion while shooting, though in Copen's case, it's a bit different. Copen doesn't have GV's energy bar. Instead, he has bullets down in the left-hand corner in the same spot that GV's charges are. And like GV's energy meter, Copen can recharge these at will if he's on the ground. However, both his dash ability and Pervasion use these charges up, so dodging and finding openings to recharge them is an absolute must. On top of all that, what really sets Copen apart from Gunvolt is his clear relation to Dr. Light, building himself a literal portable Mega Man. Defeat a robot master, gain his powers. And while these different powers aren't nearly as important for beating other adepts, say for one, they do add in a nice bit of variety, and I recommend trying them all out. And as with both GV and Copen, there are multitudes of gear and power-ups to unlock and customize, additional challenges to complete, and a scoring system that rewards faster, more challenging, and even flawless runs for those of you really looking to strut your stuff. But, unfortunately, pulling off a high score might be a bit more difficult than originally anticipated, because during the adept fights is where we're gonna find our biggest problems with the game. Basically, the story interrupting the game. Or maybe it's better to say, not interrupting the game? It's weird. So, like in the previous Gunvolt game, a lot of the story and extra character building takes place between stages, as well as during the first confrontations with the heroes and villains. This works well. However, this time around, the chatter doesn't stop just because the fighting has started. At random points on the stage, and more importantly, during the boss fights, huge text boxes will fill the screen as you're being attacked. And obviously, this makes dodging and attacking in fast-paced combat kinda difficult, especially if you're actually trying to read it at the same time. Ow. Ow. Yo, this would be a lot easier if I knew how to read. But to answer the obvious question, yes, you can tone these down. But as a result, you're gonna miss out on a lot of character banner and villain motivation, which is a real drag. Though players that don't care about the story won't find much of an issue here, but for players like myself, someone who actually enjoys story and character development in my games, I actually had to go back and watch my own VODs to read the story, which, let's be real, is dumb. If only I spoke Japanese, then I could just listen to the dialogue while I play, or even speak it into the game. Game? Konnichiwa! Konnichiwa game! Oh yes, as I mentioned earlier, Gunvolt 2 has a neat little carryover from the 3DS, and it involves the music, which once again is awesome, featuring a lot of fast-paced techno-electronic beats and badass rockin' tunes that just synergizes so well with the quick maneuvering, running and gunning, and futuristic world. It is perfect for an action game like this one. But it's also got another set of J-pop style songs that include lyrics. And towards the end, as a literal part of the gameplay, the game expects you to sing along, as the 3DS had a built-in mic. And just like with the other story bits, it's kinda tough to fight while trying to read and sing karaoke. Well, in another language? Not doing that. But still, points for creativity and really trying to get the player into the game. Which, by the by, you can turn that feature off by unplugging all of your mics. Apparently, I don't actually know, I didn't really try. But you definitely shouldn't let these little hiccups keep you from trying Azure Striker Gunvolt 2. And while there are definitely problems with the visuals affecting the gameplay and story, the fact that they can be turned off make them of little consequence in the long run. And otherwise, the game still looks great, sounds great, and plays great, with plenty of replayability for those of you who love speedruns and are more hardcore. If you are a fan of action platformers, cool anime style games, and especially if you need to scratch that Mega Man X or Zero itch, you owe it to yourself to check out Azure Striker Gunvolt 2, after you've played the first one.